I'm Ethan, and this is the story of how I went from being invisible in my own family to building a life I'm proud of. Without them. It's not an easy story to tell, but I think it's worth sharing. Growing up, I always knew I wasn't my parents' favorite. That spot was reserved for my older brother, Liam. He was their golden child, the one who could do no wrong. He'd get away with skipping school, lying, and even bullying other kids. My parents? They'd just laugh it off or blame someone else, usually me. I was the opposite of Liam in every way. I worked hard, got good grades, and always tried to do the right thing. But no matter how much I tried to prove myself, it was never enough. My parents would say things like, "Stop showing off, Ethan," or "Why can't you be more relaxed like Liam?" Relaxed? Liam wasn't relaxed. He was reckless. But in their eyes, he was perfect. When Liam got into trouble, guess who got blamed? Mister. If something went missing, they'd say, "Ethan, what did you do with it?" If Liam failed a test, they'd snap, "Ethan, why didn't you help your brother study?" It didn't matter what I did. I was always the scapegoat. I remember the night I left like it was yesterday. Liam had wrecked Dad's car, but somehow they twisted the story to make it my fault. I was grounded for a month. That was the last straw. I packed my bag with the few things I owned, some clothes, my old journal, and the little cash I'd saved up, and walked out the door. No one tried to stop me. The bus ride to the city felt like freedom and fear rolled into one. I had no plan, no safety net. But for the first time in my life, I felt like I could breathe. Those first few months were brutal. I slept in shelters, worked odd jobs, and often went hungry. But I kept pushing forward. I enrolled in night classes and studied every chance I got. I told myself, one day I'll prove them all wrong. Turning it around that day came sooner than I expected. I earned a scholarship to study engineering at a top university. From there, my life started to change. I poured everything I had into my studies and eventually invented a piece of technology that changed how people communicated. Investors took notice, and before I knew it, I had my own company. By the time I was 30, I had built a multi-million-dollar business. I bought a beautiful house, one I could have only dreamed of as a kid. Life was finally mine to control when they came back. I hadn't seen my family in years when they showed up at my front door. At first, I didn't even recognize them. My parents looked older, worn down. Liam, once the confident golden boy, looked lost. They said they wanted to reconnect. Part of me wanted to slam the door in their faces, but I decided to hear them out. They told me about their financial troubles, how Liam's bad decisions had drained their savings. They said they'd seen me on TV and were proud of what I'd accomplished. I wanted to believe them, so I let them in. We talked, and for a moment, I thought maybe things could be different. I even offered to pay off their debts if they promised to change. But it didn't take long for their true colors to show. Liam started demanding a share of my company, saying it was his right as my older brother. My parents chimed in, saying I owed them for raising me. When I refused, they got angry. They accused me of being selfish and ungrateful. The final straw came when they tried to break into my house one night. My security cameras caught everything, and the police were called. Justice at last, I pressed charges. In court, I laid it all out. The years of neglect, the favoritism, the way they tried to take advantage of me after I succeeded. The judge sided with me, issuing a restraining order and sentencing them to community service for the attempted theft. Walking out of that courtroom, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. What I learned. I've realized that family isn't about blood. It's about love and respect. I've built my own family now, made up of friends and colleagues who see me for who I am. I even started a foundation to help kids like me, kids who feel invisible, who just need someone to believe in them. As for my parents and Liam, I don't hate them. I just don't need them in my life anymore. I've learned to value myself even when they didn't. And in the end, that's what matters most.